Well, hello folks. I'm going to create a little different video than I've created in the past on my channel. I have a guitar collection that I want to video today. I'll walk you through some of how I came about these guitars and what I intend to do with them in the future. I am going to sell off 3 of the guitars today that are in my collection. I have a Fender Telecaster, Fender Stratocaster, and a Fender Acoustic that I want to sell off. So take a look, take a listen. So when I was a young kid, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, or 9, one of my uncles had a Hawaiian guitar that you see hanging there in the stand on the left-hand side of the screen. And he showed that guitar to me when I was a kid, when I was visiting his place with my folks. I never forgot it. And later, that guitar came to me. So that sort of started, that's my earliest memory of a guitar and or a guitar that I actually wanted to play. It was a Hawaiian guitar, it was called. It must have been a 1930s model, the best I can tell. It had a case, G&S case. Here's the case. Here is a look at a piece that was inside of the case. Sort of a guitar instruction book. It is dated in 1927, copyrighted in 1927. So that leads me to believe that this could be a 1930s model or late 20s, early 30s model. Could have been a Sears and Roebucks, I don't know. Anyway, so in the case is also the pieces that you would use to use this guitar as a Hawaiian guitar. It could also be played as a regular guitar, but it was probably played as a Hawaiian guitar. I've never played it that way. But then later, when I got a little older, my mother bought me a yard sale guitar. I was about 9 years old at that time. So here's a picture of me. Would have been 1972, probably, learning to play my guitar. This Stella Harmony guitar was a popular guitar in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s. And greats like Doc Watson and Willie Nelson supposedly learned on this type of guitar. Stella had several levels of quality and different models, but it's a very similar guitar that many people would have learned on back in the day. So fast forward to Christmas Eve 2018, here's that same guitar hanging on the left side of your screen in my living room. This guitar was actually fairly hard to play and not that easy to learn on. It had a flat fretboard and the strings were literally about 1/4 of an inch off of the fretboard, so very difficult to fret, especially for a young fellow like myself. So it wasn't long until I got a better guitar, which I'll show you soon. But so over the years, I continued to play guitar some. I'm just a novice. I'm not an expert at all. Just learned a few songs, had a little fun with it. I've actually written some songs, recorded some songs. But that being said, some of the latest additions to my collections, we'll start with the 2015 Telecaster made by Fender. Very popular guitar, played by many musicians throughout the years. Merle Haggard, for example, Waylon Jennings, both used a Telecaster by Fender. In fact, Merle Haggard was instrumental in helping Fender develop the Telecaster back in the day. So back in 2009, I bought a Stratocaster. And both this Telecaster and Stratocaster are the American-made versions, and I like them a lot. Very good guitars. So, living in Houston, bought this Stratocaster in 2009. Turns out it's a 2007 model, but it was brand new when I bought it off the shelf at a guitar center in Houston. So if any of you are watching this video and know anything about Fender guitars, the Stratocaster was used by rock bands by and large, and the Telecaster was used by country and western musicians. They crossed over back and forth some, but in general, that's what these guitars were sort of made for and the markets that they were used in. So in late 2000, I ended up buying an acoustic Fender. One of the reasons I bought this acoustic Fender is my father was instrumental in getting us lessons as young boys, and we didn't really take them that serious maybe, and didn't learn that much, but I learned enough to make it a lifetime, and that's what's important. So after he passed away, I bought this guitar and got back into it a little deeper than I had been in a while. And so I really enjoyed this guitar. It's a Fender Auditorium model. It has a lot of volume, both low, mid, and high range. I would say a mid-level quality guitar made by Fender, manufactured in Korea. But it did have a Fishman electronics as well, so it was an acoustic electric, and did very well when recording and just playing in general. So it was a good guitar for me. So this next guitar is a vintage guitar that I've had since I was about 10 years old. And I mentioned that I got a better guitar. Well, this was it. Mom and Dad bought a couple different guitars at the time. This one sort of became my guitar. I played it the most probably. And good guitar. It had been played hard before we bought it. I think it cost $100 at the time, probably with an amplifier and a case. And if you know anything about Fender guitars of the 70s, the 60s and 70s, you recognize that tweed case that I pulled it out of. That is the original case. And so this guitar is probably worth some money. It is a Fender Mustang, 1965 model. So there you go. So at the end of the day, Christmas Eve 2018, I have sold 3 of these guitars. Like I said in my previous narrative there in the video, I sold the Telecaster, the Stratocaster, and the Acoustic. So I'm left with the Fender Mustang, the red guitar there. And the Fender Mustang was sort of the prelude into the Telecaster, I believe. It has some very similar characteristics, and these Fenders back in the day were the kind that musicians threw across the stage. They broke into pieces, didn't treat them well, and turns out they ended up being the real guitar, the real deal. But at the time, they were sort of a dime a dozen, if you will. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, or dissent. You've been watching the Junkyard Tailgate channel. Good day.